What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. So if you guys saw in one of my more recent videos, I installed an aftermarket head unit on my BMW 435 from Xtrons. The thing is absolutely sick. So in that last video, I only really focused on the installation. It already ended up being like a 10-12 minute long video, so I didn't want to make it too long. But in today's video, I'm gonna give you guys a rundown of the head unit in a little more detail. I'm gonna answer some questions that I had originally that I didn't have the answers to in that first video, and also some questions that you guys had down in the comments below of the first video as well. So in case you guys didn't watch that last video, this is the head unit that I installed. Again, this is from Xtrons. They offer a whole bunch of options, but this specifically is their 15-inch 2K head unit. This thing does a whole bunch of stuff. Some of the key highlights is it offers Apple Carplay, Android Auto, and it is touchscreen. So with that said, I'm gonna fire up the car and I'll show you guys this thing in a little more detail. So right off the bat, whenever you turn on your car, the head unit will automatically turn on, obviously with the car. It will show the Xtrons display as well as the Android. This is on an Android operating system, but don't worry guys, you still can of course run Apple CarPlay as well as your OEM BMW display. Something that's actually pretty cool is it'll tell you when your door's open. So it's cool that it does that. Also, it'll connect directly into Apple CarPlay or something like that if you have it connected. So now, before I go into Apple CarPlay and Android Auto into a little more detail, let me just address a few high-level things because someone did ask this in the comments. This is a glossy screen. Again, guys, this is a 2K screen, but it does have a gloss finish to it. So I'm assuming the person asked because they're wondering about the reflections. As you guys can tell, there are some reflections, but it's nothing that's gonna really change your mind about it, at least in my opinion. It is currently super sunny out, if you guys can't tell, but yet the glare and the reflections are not messing up my view. This screen is bright enough that I can see everything very clearly. Even if you go back to your original BMW screen, everything still looks really good. It's still really easy to read. And now the next big question that I got, and the question I didn't have an answer to in the original video, is the proportions. Originally, guys, it looked super stretched out. It looked a little funny. However, Xtrons did tell me there was a way to fix it. If you guys have this head unit yourself and you want to fix it, I'll leave the detailed instructions that Xtrons gave me down in the description below. I'm not going to run you guys through how to do it right now because that's just going to make this video way too long, but the instructions are in the description, so check them out. But anyways, the point is there is a way to fix it. Now, as you guys can tell, the proportions look really, really good. They kind of compensate for the fact that this is a much wider screen than the original head unit, with giving you this little like clock and calendar right over here, which is honestly a really good idea in my opinion. Something I will say I wish I can do, and there might be a way to do this, I just don't know yet, is change the theme of this, because right now you guys can tell it's blue, which does match the rest of the actual user interface of this head unit, which is a whole theme, I guess. Like the blue is nice, but I wish there was a way to change the theme to like maybe a black or gray or even red, so that way it matches the rest of the interior of the car. But that's just me being a little picky here, guys. But anyways, if you go back to the screen, your original BMW screen, like I was saying, you do get that clock to kind of compensate for the extra space. That was a lot of people's main concerns, and honestly, one of mine. So thankfully, there is a way to fix that. By the way, I mentioned it in the last video, but if you guys don't know, the way to switch between your original BMW screen, so that way you can do things like, you know, change your oil or do anything else with your settings, and then also with the Xtrons head unit screen, is you press and hold this menu button, and you guys will see it'll switch between the two, which is really cool because that way you can easily do it with just the touch controller over here. Now again, guys, this is fully touchscreen and it's actually super responsive. Like this thing runs very smoothly, but not only do you have the touchscreen, which is absolutely great, but you also can use your scroll wheel. I don't know what this thing is technically called, so I apologize if I'm calling it the wrong thing, but you can use it to navigate through the system. If you press on home once, it'll bring you to this screen. Again, if you press and hold on the menu or the home button there, it'll take you back to your original screen. So that's super cool, guys. You can use the touchscreen as well as the wheel over here. Something to note, if you guys are wondering, if you go to the original BMW screen, you cannot use the touchscreen on that. You can use it to like swipe away from it, I guess, but you can't use it to navigate it. So just in case you're wondering, that's not gonna exactly work with your original BMW screen, but honestly, that's not a big deal. It's not like something you need. You can obviously still use your scroll wheel just like you normally would, and everything works totally fine like it normally would. But again, you just can't use a touchscreen on that. Another question that I've gotten, guys, is does the screen block your view when you're driving the car? And well, to answer that, as you guys can see, it doesn't really obstruct the view too much. Now, of course, it is bigger than the original screen, so it is gonna take up more real estate when it comes to that. However, overall, I don't really notice it. I don't know how good of a job the camera is doing by like showing my actual point of view, but from my point of view, this screen does not pass even the hood, really. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it does cut off a little bit of the hood, but it's not like it's actually blocking off your view. It cuts off only a little bit, but otherwise, it's really not that bad. Like, it's pretty similar to my G80 M3. It's actually even better than my G80 M3. I think that one cuts off even more of your view. Something that I was curious about is this unit, you guys can actually hook up with an aftermarket reverse camera. So if your car does not have an OEM reverse camera, you can get one and it will work with this head unit. So that way when you switch into reverse, it'll automatically switch into your backup camera. When I first installed this though, when I'd switch into reverse, it would basically say like no camera detected, because I think it was trying to find an aftermarket reverse camera. However, this car does come with a reverse camera. So if you guys are wondering, this head unit can work with both. You can use it with an aftermarket reverse camera or your original BMW reverse camera. So in my case, if I'm just chilling in this screen or even the head unit screen, if I switch the car into reverse, you'll see it'll actually go into your original BMW screen and throw up your original reverse camera. Again, same premise, it'll keep that right over there, but everything else works totally fine. Again, when I originally did it, it would say like no camera detected because it was trying to go for an aftermarket camera, but there's a setting that you guys can change, and that setting will basically tell it to use the original reverse camera instead. Again, if you guys want to know how to do that, Xtron sent me some detailed instructions. I'll drop them down in the description below. So hopefully that answered a whole bunch of questions for you guys, but to get into some of the more interesting things, let's go into CarPlay. Now, I can't show you Android Auto because that's on my brother's, but just know Android Auto works just fine, just like any other head unit. But I want to quickly show you guys Apple CarPlay because that's what I personally use. So to get into Apple CarPlay, use this button right over here. If your phone is connected, it will automatically connect. If you don't want it to automatically connect, you can change that. However, why wouldn't you want it to do that? But anyways, once you're in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you can still use a touchscreen. You can still go through your apps just like you normally would. You can also use your scroll wheel, which is pretty freaking cool. In terms of aesthetic, I think this looks absolutely amazing, guys. Like, you have a beautiful screen to use your Apple CarPlay. Again, it is 2K, everything is crystal clear. Not sure how well you guys are gonna be able to see that, but the quality is really, really good. Like, I have absolutely no complaints about the quality. The brightness is really good. Obviously, you guys can see some glare because it is a glossy screen, but honestly, I feel like it's coming up worse on the camera than it is in person. And let's be honest, anytime you have a screen in the sunlight, like you guys can see how strong the sun is right now, that's gonna happen. But overall, it handles it pretty well. But otherwise, it's just Apple CarPlay. So there's a lot to it, but there's really not much to it, if that makes sense. If you guys know Apple CarPlay, you'll know this. It works just like anything else. I've used Apple CarPlay on OEM BMW systems from my 2017 330i to my 2023 M3, and this works just like any of those other ones. And by the way, yes, this is wireless Apple CarPlay. Otherwise, guys, in terms of the actual user interface, there's a lot to it. Obviously, you can deep dive into it. You have a whole bunch of widgets over here. This is obviously trying to mimic like the newer BMW style where they have a lot of tiles and stuff like that. I think it's really nice. There's nothing wrong with the BMW one, so it's pretty cool that they mimic it. It's easy to read, it's easy to use. Again, right now I'm using the scroll wheel, but you do have the touch screen. You can add additional widgets if you want to. This is an Android system, by the way, guys. Like, you can pretty much download any app that you want. There's so much to do on this thing. Like, if you guys really wanted to, you can go into your apps, go into the Play Store, which I'm not logged in right now, so I'm not gonna be able to do it, but you guys can literally just download whatever you want, which is pretty insane. There's some apps that are already pre-installed, like I believe this one right over here. So this will actually show you some of the information on your car, which is pretty interesting. Now, would I personally use it? Probably not, but if you guys are into that stuff, you can definitely do it. You can also do things like watch YouTube. I'm not connected to the internet right now, but just know, guys, you can just use YouTube or Netflix or anything like that. Like, again, you have a whole bunch of options. So you can literally sit in your car, fill up gas or something and just watch some YouTube videos. Maybe watch some of my YouTube videos, guys. And while you're at it, like and subscribe. But anyways, there's a whole bunch of cool things to do with this thing. Like, honestly, the options are endless. Again, would I explore everything here? Probably not. And I think for most people, what you guys are really gonna care about is this right over here. I think that's gonna be the main thing. The screen itself, it being larger, it being like crisper and looking really good, and then also the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto. But everything else is just a bonus. You guys can go into settings here, can see there's a whole bunch of stuff for you to do. So feel free to like play around and check it out. I can make this video like 2 hours long if I wanted to everything, but I just wanna show you guys a quick high level of the user interface. So in the last video, you guys saw me install this thing. I would say in terms of installation, overall, it's not that bad. It's doable. I personally think if I can do it, anybody can. It gets a little more difficult when you're dealing with things like the fiber optic cable or just pulling apart some of your trim. It's not hard per se, but it's not like someone's first mod that they should do on a car, at least in my opinion. But overall, guys, it is pretty easy. If you really feel that uneasy about it, you can have a shop do it for you. Now, something I will say, when I was installing this, something I did mess up on is I didn't install the mic. I didn't think I would need one. I didn't really think that through, but when I'm making calls or when I'm trying to talk on the phone, I need that mic for the phone calls to work, because when the head unit is running, like your call through Apple CarPlay or something like that, it just needs the mic. So I kind of messed up. I have to go back and install that mic. So if you guys are gonna do this, make sure you install it, because I think I said it's not that important. I was wrong, it is important. Overall, guys, would I recommend this head unit if you're looking into it? Absolutely yes. I love it. I wish I did something like this sooner to the car. I think it just makes the car feel so much more modern, so much more convenient, especially with things like Apple CarPlay. I personally love the look of the big screen. Again, this is 15 inches, significantly bigger than the original screen. But if you guys aren't into the big screen, you can get a head unit that operates the same exact way in a smaller form. I would highly recommend this, especially if you guys have an older car like mine and you love things like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Anyways, guys, hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully it answered a few questions. I'm sure you have plenty more. There's so much to go into. Again, I could have made this a 2 hour long video, but obviously not gonna do that. If you guys do want this head unit, there'll be some links down in the description below. There's also a promo code for you guys to use to get an additional discount, so definitely use that. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop it a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, with that said, this video is pretty much done, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.